Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I'm going to share with you a clip from a recent live event where myself, HL49 and Rick on the Mountain are going to be discussing the impact of bots on Splinterlands. Actually, a couple reasons why they're helping us, which is probably counterintuitive to most of your thoughts on bots, but then also one major proposal or suggestion or idea for what might resolve the bot farm problem. So we're going to kick around the SPS staking and what sort of impact will that have on this major issue for our game. And I think it'll give you a broader understanding for this complicated problem we're facing and the nuanced solutions that might exist. Thanks guys. Have an amazing day. God bless. Yeah, that's true. And I do think this is, oh man, I'm loath to bring up anything like positive from a bot perspective because people are the way people receive. I feel people hear half of what I say and then are 100% critical. But like, here's the thing, guys, we want to get rid of bot farms. I get it. They have lots of problems and complications. They take advantage, they exploit, they extract value, and they give nothing. But one thing that they give, which is actually really critical, is matches, like matchmaking. Yeah. Like, you know, Rick talked about 9 out of 20 matches were against a bot farm. And is that good? Is that optimal? It's not optimal. It would be optimal to have humans fighting humans and having such a thriving player base that it was a rarity to run into a bot. That would be awesome. But it's not the reality right now. And I want you to recognize, because many of you won't. Steve's in the audience. Shout out to Steve. He's old enough to remember when we had like 1,000 players in this game. Like this game, it took 5 minutes to find a match. You're just sitting there and you're like, did my computer freeze? And you like refresh the window and no, it's still looking for a match. And then another 2.5 to build your team. Like, and that was typical. That's not like a rare, hey, this is a bad day. That was typical. That's not a good player experience. And we need to reconcile that. And that doesn't mean bots are amazing. Let's incentivize bot farms. It means there's nuance to these complex situations where, of course, we want to make a scenario in an economy and a game where it's enjoyable for more human players to rush in, where bots can't exploit and extract for nothing at all. But we just have to reconcile that these complicated problems have nuanced solutions. And I saw Keck threw a good comment out there. He goes, guys, like the video, help the reach. Appreciate you, Keck. And yes, please, guys. Where are we at? Where are we at on the thumbs up? We got 15 likes. We got 23 concurrent viewers. If you haven't, throw a thumbs up. Do it for us, please. And if you want, we got some great visitors. We got some great conversation, and I hope you're enjoying it. We'll be doing it again. My intention now, moving forward, since I'm no longer on Splinterlands TV, is to be doing one live public a week and one live for the members only. So we do 2 a week, but members only on Thursdays, on Wednesdays, and public on Thursdays. So if you're interested in more of this sort of content, Splinterlands content, live Splinterlands content, where you could be part of the conversation, consider supporting the channel. Bobby, thanks again for re-upping, buddy.
Yeah, I'm of that same unpopular opinion. That's something that you and I have also talked about fairly at length, and I've definitely gone on a number of times about is, yeah, we don't have the player base right now to support 12 leagues of play without bots. Yeah. If all of the bots were gone overnight, the game would be dead within a week because there are not enough people to get matches in a reasonable amount of time. Yeah. So I'm not in favor of bot farms. Mm-hmm. I'm not anti-bot. I am anti-bot farm, but I also, am realistic enough to realize that, right now, the game could not survive without those bot farms. And unless we get in a significant influx of new players, that will continue to be the case.
Mm-hmm. HL49, you talked about earlier about, tinkering with bots for some of your cards. And we just said, they are providing matchmaking opportunities for us. And I said, and I agree, and I stand by the fact that I see no problem. I'm not against bots. I'm against bot farms. But what does that mean? Like, where's that line? Because as a guy with I've got 7 or 10 million power or something, I could run a bot farm. I don't know, maybe 100, maybe 10. I don't know. I'm not sure how many I could make, but I could make a lot of different accounts, and I could do that with just bots and just, quote unquote, extract value with giving nothing back. I would argue I'm giving matchmaking. I would argue I've given investment. I would argue, I'm giving coverage. So there's such nuance to this. But talk to me, HL49, about what that looks like, because I think most people would say they aren't against bots. Like we've got Splex and we've got Archmage and we've got, Xbot and we've got whatever else. People aren't against that, but they are against bot farms. Where does that line in the sand look like for you? And what are your thoughts on that?
Personally, I also don't have anything against bots, and two things. I wouldn't have a problem with you if you have one account with 10 million power, if you rent it out and let it play by a bot because you don't have the time, or maybe you are not smart enough to get to the high levels, or maybe you're just trying it, or I don't know, I don't care about your reasons. But if you have like all starter cards or only one BCX of every card and then have hundreds of accounts or something like that, that's something really only extracting the value for the game. And the other thing is playing the game as a normal under headlines player, you know what I mean? It's a difference between, if you have like, also right now I looked at it, I have about 500,000 power normally. If I wouldn't even think about selling all of my cards to get like 10 or 20 or 51 BCX accounts that play me in gold and get me $3 per account or something like that, I wouldn't even think about that. I think it's way more fun that way to achieve the higher levels.
Yeah, I think there's something about, like, you invest money and you own these assets, or at least I invested money, and many of the people who are going to watch this video have invested X amount of dollars into Splinterlands related assets. And then at times in your life, whether, you started when you were 30 and, maybe in the last year and a half, 2 years, you have a kid and life's a bit different. And I can't see any argument that makes a lot of sense to me where we would ever get to a place where we'd say, like, it's wrong for you to use Archmage for your main account. And then that feels like maybe it's a slippery slope, but I would carry that forward and say, if you've got 5 million power, if you've got 1 million power, if you've got 500,000 power, and you can divide that into 5 different accounts, I still can't see a problem there. I don't know where the line is. And last couple of days, I've been thinking about this because I feel like this is a topic that has complication and nuance. And I like these sorts of debates because I almost want to like better understand my own thoughts around where that would be. But it's probably like in that 100 range or something. But I don't know, Rick, what do you think about this?
I think that it's a strong point. I mean, there is, and I don't know where the line is.
Yeah.
But I agree with HL49. Like, if you're running 100 accounts that have 1 BCX of each card, then that is problematic because you really aren't adding anything to the ecosystem in terms of any kind of investment, whatnot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, it's like, where would we be without those accounts? So, like, it really comes down to, how things are managed, really, I guess, because and also where the player base is at.
Yeah.
But the problem is that a lot of the focus of these bot farms is just on extracting that value, and that is what's causing problems with the economy. But again, like, double-edged sword, without them, would we even have a game? Because we wouldn't have those matches. And so I understand that, especially, from the beginning, like, when the player base was super small, like, they have been kind of necessary in order to keep things going.
Yeah.
And we have lost a lot of our active player base with some of the more radical changes that have been made. And, with just the ravages of time.
Yep.
And because of the nature of the bear market, we have not been attracting nearly as many new players over the past little while. So I feel like there's still, it's absolutely a balancing act to try and figure where is the right kind of path to tread along with those.
I see a comment from Bobby saying that if he doesn't get a match in 30 seconds, he hits cancel and tries again. That's how I feel too. I'm like, something's wrong. And then he goes, a couple accounts is fine, even up to 10, maybe at most 10, 20 or more, all botted to leech rewards, not to participate in the ecosystem, is bad. And I think I would be even more nuance and say like you two said, like, what does that a deck look like? If you've got, 10 or 20 or 30 accounts and they're like 2 million power each, because some dudes could do that. That's a sort of, you're adding to a certain dimension of this game that really does need more players, to our points earlier with not enough players, but also you've invested in such a way at such a time, obviously, that you've built out a library of assets that looks different to me than some guy who has, 5,000 CP on their deck. And then Steve jumped in, and great point. We haven't talked about this yet today. SPS staking is coming, and it'll stop the big farms. And so maybe all this kind of the thoughtfulness around, the problems around it, maybe they get resolved with this one thing. Do you guys think that this is going to be a big silver bullet, and that we are going to be this will end that problem or conversation? Or where do you land on SPS staking?
I don't think it's going to end it, but it is going to significantly make an impact, and it's something that we should have had long ago. I mean, we've got SPS requirements for tournament entry already. I understand that, Aggie's saying that it needs to be done with the SPS validator nodes coming online and all of that, and I don't understand why, but if that's the case, then get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are so many things we've been waiting on. I mean, this SPS staking requirements was promised at the beginning of the SPS airdrop, which was a year long and has been over for more than 6 months now. So why do we still not have it? Why are we still talking about this and not seeing it? Like, it needs to happen.
Yeah. This is huge.
We still don't even have a date for it.
This is huge. You're right. And I think I am with you in terms of this is so important. And I do see it as being a powerful movement toward the right direction with bot farms. And with not even that term bot farms, but even just with people who are really not recognizing the writing that's been on the wall since I think day one, which is, this is a Narnia reference, further up and further in. I don't know if anybody reads Chronicles of Narnia. It's like one of my favorite series. Further up and further in. That's like the Splinterlands mantra. Like, the whole thing is we want you to invest your time and attention. We want you to invest in the resources that we sell. That's the thing. Like, this is not a free to play. This is like you are committing time, attention, and value. And so the invitation is like more and more over years and years. And I think some people hate that. And I think, okay, it's just not the game for you. And that's okay. There'll be something, exactly. There's something else out there for you. HL49, what do you think about this SPS staking? Is it going to solve things, or thoughts, concerns, anything on this one?
I think SPS staking is one of the most thought after things that we can have in a game. It's like one thing that can make or break the game, because especially if to think about the new players, let's think about they have to get about 1000 SPS to even play in the bronze level.
Mm-hmm.
What would this guy think? Like, at first I need to invest about, I think it's $50 or 500. I think it's 50. Or how much is 1000 SPS?
3 cents per. So that would that be $300 for 1,000? 3 cents per.
I don't know.
Let's see, 1,000 times 0.003. Yeah, $30. So 30 for the SPS plus 10 for the sold the book.
It's just $40, and then you're still getting the penalty cards. So you have to make a reasonable amount in the low leagues.
Yeah.
And you have to stack it up higher. Even you have to divide it between modern and wild, like as of the tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you told me right now, I need to have about 40k SPS to be able to play in champion, I don't know what I would do with the game, or if I would still keep playing it. Because currently I'm getting about 1k, oh no, even more. I think about 2 to 3k SPS per month.
And you're getting 2 to 3k per month?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I have about 16,000 SPS staked. And I'm not even done with Chaos Legion maxed out, and not even started with Roof Fortress yet. And still, I then need to also get 40,000 SPS. That's more than double what I have. I don't think I would start playing, because that would cost too much to be able to, because I have the skill. You don't need to, are not allowed to punish the good players then too. So there's a really thin edge between good and bad that That's really, yeah, I think it's just difficult to handle how you would do it, how you would adjust them.
This is a great point. We have to remember, like we talked about new player experience, we have to recognize that SPS demand or requirement to really even get your foot in the door is a complication. And Rick, you mentioned about how you said, I'm not sure what the complications are, why it hasn't happened yet. It's been promised. And I'm with you. It needs to happen. It needs to happen. It needs to happen. But I think one of the complications that I think we can understand is that what I talked about earlier, which I don't fully understand this stuff, but I think I'm right about what I'm about to say, which is this, that SPS, is it's like a cryptocurrency. And telling people you need to buy this cryptocurrency to play the game raises all kinds of backs and concerns from like regulators, which means that places like Google and Apple are not going to let this happen on their app. And so that's like a conversation around the mobile app conversation, but it's also it's also a concern from the, how do you get SPS right now? I did a video talking about this, like getting SPS or DEC right now is actually really complicated. You have to if you want SPS, you probably have to understand blockchain well enough that you know how to put money into crypto, and then you buy some token with your first exchange. You move it over to another exchange that has Hive. You move the Hive into Hive Engine. You buy SPS with it or something like that, paying fees all along the way. That's a complex process that is a barrier to even like, let's say, middle of the row crypto people, or Jim Morgan, who friend of my channel. I love the guy. Did a video with him yesterday, and he's been here for 2 years or something, covering Splinterlands himself and playing it all the time and investing in it. And he goes, like, I don't get any of that stuff. Like, I don't get blockchain. And so if that hurdle is in front of a guy like Jim or even me, who I get it, but it's a nuisance, how is that gonna? That's a big wall for a brand new player to jump over. You need $30 worth of SPS. Well, how do I even do that? And so I think one of the barriers with making this staking happen is we need to fully, do that second layer solution where SPS trades can happen outside of the game. And I also think major listings on, for instance, like we've talked about with maybe Binance or Coinbase, like that's being possibly negotiated through proposal. But one last point before, Rick, I'm going to throw to you to any thoughts on anything I'm saying here. HL49, you talked about how it's going to be tricky for these guys to get 1,000 SPS for their account when they're brand new. I think for all those reasons, I agree that I just said, I agree. But remember, we're talking about implementing some sort of, you can stake on others. And then I think there's going to be, that'll be one solution to the problem you're raising. And another solution to the problem you're raising is the possibility of renting SPS, because I think that will be possible too. And these aren't barrier-free solutions. They have their own complexity that will need a smart player with blockchain experience to understand. But we can rent Hive power on the Hive blockchain. So I'm certain we're going to be able to rent SPS power once this staking is required. Rick, what do you think about any of this stuff?
I feel like, yeah, there's definitely some things that are in the way. And by the, why don't we have it yet? I'm just simply referring to the fact that we do already have the infrastructure in place in the code for the actual staking requirements, because we've already got those requirements in place for tournaments. So I feel like there are aspects that still need to be answered. I understand, like, how do we make it easy for players to get SPS? And I understand where HL is coming from, that there is an issue of how much SPS is the right amount, because if it's 1,000 to be able to play in bronze, that is kind of prohibited.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that bronze should be that high. I don't think it would be that high. I could absolutely see like 1,000 being the minimum for silver, and maybe like 3,000 to 5,000 for gold, 10,000 for diamonds, something along those lines. I'm not saying that these are what it's going to be. Yep. I'm not even suggesting those, but like I wouldn't be surprised to see something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that it answers every single problem either. There is no 100% correct solution for any of these
Yep.
problems. It's
Yep.
all that kind of balancing act. But
Totally.
I do feel like the set of problems that comes along with SPS staking requirements is a better set of problems
Mm-hmm.
than the set of problems that we have now.
Mm-hmm. I think we all are, I think I'm hearing in all of us, like, some degree of recognition that this could be really powerful and helpful, but also, like, tell me the details. How exactly is this going to work? That's HL49 was saying, like, it could go wrong, and I fully see that, and I think we all are recognizing that. Yeah, but it could be huge because it could start to deal with these. Like, I can't picture bot farms with thousands of accounts buying 1,000 SPS per account. I just can't picture it. So
No.
that'd be great.